Friday, it's 12 o'clock, so it's time for Movement Not Miracles. So welcome. I'm Anna from Eat, Move, Be Happy, and Movement Not Miracles is all about giving you some ideas on the things that you can do to keep a bit more mobile, look after your joints, look after your posture, maybe stretch off a little bit and ward off some of those aches and pains. So we know that keeping our joints mobile is much better for us if we don't use joints or we feel some stiffness, so we restrict our movement. Then that's when stiffness can increase, and then we can get aches and pains because of it. And just the way our body is wired, if we're stiff in one joint, then somewhere else has got to overcompensate for it, and that doesn't always work out well. So keeping moving and keeping a bit more mobile in our joints, probably more than most of us do, is a really good idea. So today I'm going to take you through some stuff that you can do for your hips and your ankles. And because my upper back has been a little bit problematic this week, we're just going to throw in some upper back stuff for good measure. And we're going to start with that. So I'm going to do these kneeling down only because then I stay in shot, but you can do these standing as well. So just to start off with, make sure you are balanced in your base. So if you're sitting, sit on evenly on the bones of your bottom, so sitting up tall away from the back of the chair. If you're kneeling, make sure your weight is evenly distributed, and the same if you're standing, and literally just roll those shoulders up and back. And as you squeeze them back, really squeeze those shoulder blades together on the back of your chest. So shoulders come up and then down and back. So you're aiming for as big a movement as you can get in those shoulder joints. And to get that movement, your shoulder blades, the wings on the back of your back, I don't know why I call them wings, it's just one of those things that children used to do. The wings on your back, make sure they are moving as much as possible. Your shoulder blades should move on your back. And then I'm just going to kneel up a little more and make sure I don't whack my arms across my back. So if you take that and actually now see if you can get your arms, keeping them nice and straight, as far back as you can. My shoulder flexibility isn't brilliant, so they won't go all the way back. You might be able to do a little bit more than me, which is fantastic. And just a couple more. Okay. And then we're going to use the wall for this one. Hopefully you can still see me. So if you place your hands a little bit higher than head height up the wall, and what you're aiming to do is to stretch through your armpits. So you're using the wall to push against, and so you get some stretch through the length of your arm, through your armpit and into your upper back. You can do this one, it's a similar action as the forward bend that we do, and you use a solid surface, a work surface or a table to push against. So if you're seated, if you can get close to a wall, then by all means do it. But we're aiming for a bit of movement rather than holding the stretch. So if we push into it and then release, and then push back down into it and then release. And that feels quite nice on my upper back. You're aiming for your arms as straight as possible. And just one more. Okay. Right, so hips. Let's concentrate on our hips now. So if you are seated in a chair, then you can start by pulling your leg your knee up as close to your chest as you possibly can, and then release that side and do the same on the other side. Or you can do it sitting on the floor like I am. So we tend to get quite stiff through the front of our hips, through our hip flexors, because we sit in this position for quite long periods, and we're not actually designed to sit like this for long periods. So if you think of children, they either crouch down or they sit cross-legged, and they're very comfortable doing that. And then because when we go to school, we're encouraged to sit on chairs, and as we get older, our hip joints get stiffer, and we don't tend to sit on the floor cross-legged or crouch down like little frogs, like children do. So we lose that flexibility in our hips, which is not ideal. So sitting cross-legged is actually quite a good way. If we sit up on the bones of our bottom with a nice straight back and let your knees just relax down, that in itself is quite good for your hip. And if you can sit on a chair at a table with your legs crossed. It depends on the height of the chair, but sitting with your legs crossed at a desk or a table is quite a good idea. My yoga teacher always used to do that. So you can sit one side, hello bubble lady, and then if you cross your legs and sit the other side, so put the other leg in the front, you probably find you have a preferred leg that goes forwards. So a bit like when you fold your arms, we always fold our arms the same way. But it's worth crossing your legs the other way when you sit cross-legged, because it just puts a slightly different emphasis on whichever hip is connected, whichever leg is forward. Right, so then what we're going to do is we're just going to roll down over the front of our legs. And again, you can do this seated. But what I want you to imagine, you're bending, flexing forwards from your groin area, and you're rounding down over your back. So imagine there's a ball sitting there, and you're trying not to rest your tummy on the ball. So we're rounding down like this, leaving your knees nice and relaxed, and we're staying breathing. And if you need to, get hold of your front shin with your hands and just pull yourself down a little bit. So it's quite a gentle stretch around the outside of your legs, outside of your hips, and also you've got a bit of rounding action in your back, so you're getting a bit of stretch through your upper back, which is quite nice. And then swap that cross. So we can do the other side. Make sure we sit nice and tall to start off with, and then get hold of that shin. Your elbows can rest on your knees just so that they're resting, and just lean forwards. And just pay attention to which side of your hips, do they feel the same? Do they feel different? Does one side feel a bit stiffer? It definitely feels different doing it this way for me. I can feel more of a stretch on my left side now, whereas before it felt quite even. We all tend to have one side that might be a bit more flexible or a bit stiffer or a bit stronger than the other side, and that's okay. We are working to minimise that wobbliness, minimise the difference. So working through both sides is important. Right, so we will do, I'll turn around a little bit, so we'll do a bit more of a, so again you can do this if you're sitting in a chair. Pull your ankle across your thigh, and you're going to roll backwards if we are, I'm going to do it this way to show you this side first, because you can see this side. So you're going to lean back and put your arm through the little hole, triangle hole that you create, and just pull that knee in towards your chest. So this leg, you're aiming to try and roll your hip round and push your knee away from you, and the bent knee you are pulling towards your chest. You can rest your head on the floor if that's more comfortable. Try and relax through the rest of your body, and you should be feeling this stretch in the outside of your hip here. And then we'll swap sides. And then just pull that knee in towards your chest and keep breathing. And each time you breathe out, see if you can pull that leg towards your chest a little bit more and just increase the stretch in that hip. Okay. Right. So we're going to do some work through ankles and hips now. So if you kneel up, and the closer your heel is to your knee, then the more this is an ankle mobility move. So what you need to be thinking about is supporting your lower body and your hips by working through your glutes. So the muscles in your bum should be working. So if you just have a little feel of the muscles in your bum, they should be contracting. So they should feel like they're contracting. And that's going to stabilise the hips here. So my right leg is kneeling and my left leg is out to the side, and I'm working to keep that knee back. So we don't want this to happen, but maybe keep that knee back there. And we're going to push our knee over our toe using our glutes. So we're not just folding into it with our body, we're actually using the glute on the right side for me to push my body away so my knee is aiming for over my toe, keeping that heel on the floor and keeping that knee back. Okay, so we'll do the same on the other side. So setup is important. As close, your heel close to your knee, more of an ankle mobility, and then use your glutes to push your body. You're trying to get as much movement through your ankle as you can. If you've seen my Movement Not Miracles sessions before, you will know I am not that bendy or that flexible, and that's okay. So I work with what I can do and work to improve it. I'm trying to keep that heel on the floor. Ankle mobility is sometimes overlooked, and if your ankles are stiffer, then that could cause problems in your knees and your hips, because we need our ankles to move just for general movement, walking, general moving around. And certainly for me, some of the weight training that I do, if my ankles were a bit more flexible, then it would make it a little bit easier. Alright, this time we're moving further out, so we've done that one, haven't we, that side. So this time, a bit of a wider gap between your heel and your knee. Exactly the same setup, but now you're going to work for, it's going to be a stretch down the inside of that thigh. And what I want you to think of doing is, as you get to the extreme of that move, think of pushing that hip towards the floor, and you really get some more mobility in the bottom part, the very top of your groin, which we can forget sometimes. So as you get to the extreme, think of pushing down. Don't let your bottom stick out, so work through your glutes to stabilise, and don't let that knee cave in. And then we'll swap to the other side. So the same on this side. So as you get to the extreme of the move, think of pushing that hip down just to get a little bit more movement. And a couple more. Keep that knee out and relax through the rest of your body. If you've got tension in your jaw, then then you're likely to have tension elsewhere. And if your body is tense, then it's really difficult to get movement. And even if your tension isn't in the part of the body that you are moving, it follows on through. Okay, so another one that's good for your ankles and your feet. If you tuck your toes underneath you and sit on your heels and just rock from side to side. So you should feel a nice stretch through your toe, your big toe joint, and through your other toes, and a nice stretch in the base of your foot, which again we can forget about our feet. A nice way actually of releasing tension in the base of your foot is to use a golf ball. You can buy those balls with little bobbles on, but I think they're a little bit more expensive. But a golf ball, and if you just roll your foot on the floor, roll the ball of your foot, and you can control the pressure and where the ball rolls. It's actually really nice. And then if you put your hands, move back a little bit so you can see, if you put your hands flat on the floor, and then you're just going to lift up and aim to get your heels on the floor, and this is just going to stretch through. It stretches through your calves and the back of your legs, but also through your ankles. Oh, that was a creaking knee. Okay, we'll just do that one again. And then a tiny bit closer this time, I think. Second time is always better. And then we will just finish off with a stretch through our hip flexor. And we'll do the more gentle version. And again, we'll aim for a little bit of movement with this. So hips are staying forwards this time. So one knee on the floor, other foot to stabilise. And again, we're working through our glutes. So you glute, pushing your hips forward. The glute of your bent knee, or the knee that you're kneeling on, is going to think of pushing forwards so that you are getting a stretch through the front of this hip here. So if you just push forwards and keep your body upright, as soon as you bend through your groin, you're going to shorten that hip flexor, and we actually want some length in that. So it might be easier if you are kneeling on the floor, if you have something to kneel on, a towel or something, because it can be a bit hard on your knees. Swap sides. So get yourself set up. Starts with the base, and really push your hip forward. So work through the glute to make that happen, and that might be enough to get some stretch in that hip flexor, but just to get some movement through the hip as well. If you think of pushing forwards through your glute. So really think of driving the hips forwards. You don't have to do a massive move, but don't bend at the groin. Keep your body straight. Okay, so a little bit of back, not too much. A little bit of hips and ankles. Hopefully set you up for the weekend. Have a little look at the website. There's lots more information on there about moving better, workouts, workout plans. You can work out with us, build your own workout so you can work out when is convenient for you, depending on how much time you've got, and all other things, health and well-being. So there's lots of information on the website, www.eatmovebehappy.com. Have a lovely weekend. Enjoy your weekend as much as you can, and stay safe. And we'll see you on Monday. Thank you.